Now, the GarageBand piano really shouldn't be underestimated. When you get into the sort of editing facilities and start playing around with the velocity of your notes, you can get some really quite impressive results. It's even more impressive that the instrument that this is synthesizing is nearly 300 years old and still in common parlance, so there must be something right with using a piano on your recording. So we've got 2 octaves here showing on the keyboard from C to C. But you can actually draw the keyboard wherever you like by using the scroll function. You've got glissando, which is where you literally just play all the notes, or scroll if you want to change the position. So you can get some real sort of twinkly effects. Now you do have a velocity slider up here which allows you to play more quietly by just limiting the volume. So that actually sounds quite realistic. It sounds a bit harsh if you've got the thing the other way, where it's just loud. Just sounds a little bit forced. Now, in addition to this, I'll just bring the velocity sort of down a little bit. We also have keyboard sizes, where you can actually change the size of the keyboard that you want if you want a bit more range. But you've got to have slender fingers, not my North Dorset fingers that I've got here. Managed to play all the notes. But if you're playing a line that's got a bit more range, you could try that. Similarly, if you want something for my fingers, you've got an octave's worth instead. Yeah. So you can also stack your keyboards so that you can put them in various areas. So if I just go back to that's quite useful. But there are also other things. If I just go back to the single keyboard, there we go, where you can change the size as well. There we go. So we can also use the smart chords, which brings up a rather different page where you've got your chords laid out with a grey area and a white area. The grey area are your left-hand chords, left-hand notes. And then the chords are on your right hand. Now, at the moment, we've got no form of velocity control over here. You notice the velocity slider has been taken away. But we do have a sustain function, which is quite nice. You can use your fingers just to play some sustained chords. And it's bright enough that when you finish playing one chord and play another chord, the sustain automatically stops and starts again. Now, on the left hand here, let's switch the sustain off. On the left hand, the middle grey key is actually the 5th of your chord. So if you want a G chord, the octaves are actually there, but that is the one in between. So if you want ultra reliability with your chords, just use the outer 2 grey, unless you want to run through the 5th on your way. Sounds a bit false if you do this, where the 5th is now at the bottom. You can also play the left hand in different chords, so you can get a G sus4, G11. That's why you can do this. Because lots of modern rock and pop piano music tends to start with the bass note staying the same. For example, I think that's impressive. Now, if I record something using these chords, So going back to my edit window now, you can see that GarageBand has recorded the entire thing, which means that you can go in and you can change things, including velocity. So if I maybe select all, just a single click, select all, and then I'm going to click on one of them and just bring the velocity down to maybe halfway. Let's see what that sounds like. Yeah, it sounds a little bit less forced. However, maybe you'd want to actually change this up a bit. So maybe have the first chord stronger. Now if you click and hold, you can draw a box that goes over those 3 notes. Maybe let's try a little bit less. A little bit less there. And more here, because it's the beginning of the next bar. See what happens here. There's some dynamic range approaching there now. So the piano is obviously, as I said, an exceptional instrument to use on your pop and rock records. And you can also have the autoplay function that you can have with other keyboard instruments. Again, left hand, right hand. There we go. So when you play this, the left hand, the chords toggle. So if you want to, if you press it again like it's the new bar, it'll actually stop it. So there we go. There is an overview of the piano, other autoplay. You also have this arrangement also with the way you have 2 fingers. 3, or just the 1 finger, and then here so the 2 fingers on the left hand doesn't actually do anything, it's about the chords. The variations are limited, so the 1 finger on the right hand, or 2 fingers or 3 fingers, changes the right hand, but it doesn't work in the left hand. But you don't really want that anyway. You've got enough variation with, frankly, with this. So that just stays the same. And you can actually also do the autoplay. If you just press the chord symbol at the top, it just does the left hand and the right hand for you. So it's immensely powerful. A powerful tool, a powerful thing in GarageBand with a powerful instrument that's now approaching 300 years old and doesn't show any signs of not being used anymore.